Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with New York City jazz flautist Andrea Brachfeld. We caught up with her on June 5th, 2020 to talk about her 2020 CD, Brazilian Whispers, that came out during a global pandemic. She has spent decades being a staple of New York City's jazz and Afro-Cuban scenes. She has spent the last 5 decades being a staple of New York City's jazz and Afro-Cuban scenes. She has a unique take on things. Enjoy.
I'm great. You know, when this started in February, my first response was, okay, there's change coming, so just, adapt.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. I've just been adapting.
Well, I guess speaking of adapting, what happened in February? Like, what was your personal story of when you started realizing that live jazz was coming to a halt?
I thought, I immediately went into my, survival mode, I thought about food. I thought about what do I actually need from day to day that I can't do without. And cat litter is one of them because I got 2 cats. If I don't have cat litter, my place stinks, And then I thought about food. And then I started thinking about, how can I take care of other people? And, I've got a spiritual women's group that we meet once a month, and a lot of people in the neighborhood, and we started there was food that we couldn't find, because you remember when those farm workers were starting to rebel, rightly so, because they didn't have the right conditions, and I thought, okay, what can we do? So we start sharing food, Again, survival. Little by little, I started getting these phone calls and emails from people saying that, this gig is gone and that gig is gone. But, what I tried to do with all the gigs was say, okay, let's keep in touch. Maybe we'll do something else together. It's not a cancellation. It's a postponement. So, I've really been trying to keep my positivity going,
Yeah, I think that's the key. And, it's interesting with Brazilian Whispers, you got an album that's coming out during a pandemic when people probably have more time to listen, but you can't actually back it up live. Do you feel ambivalent about releasing this?
No, not at all. I kind of live my life, Joe, I trust that everything that happens in that particular moment is what's supposed to happen, so I just honor that and just go with it. I mean, it's been on the charts for, I don't know, since January 17th, and I actually just looked at the history yesterday. It's I can't believe it, it's doing so well. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's doing very well.
And it's there was nothing I could do except have the intention to put a CD like that out, which was very specific, because my last CD was a result of the new jazz works from Chamber of Music America, so it had to be original, and I went all out, I wasn't, I was just thinking about just feeling how I felt at that moment. But this one, the intention was, well, maybe I could reach other people, have more of a fan base with this kind of music, which I've always loved, Brazilian music and flute, it always goes together. And then, of course, Bill, put his stamp of genius on it and wrote great arrangements. So I think everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen. And I am getting gigs, I've managed to salvage a couple of gigs that I had in Colombia. Now we're doing live stream. And I'm just contacting people and saying, hey, how can we do this differently? What can we do? Because I'm not going to sit in lamenting the past. I don't think it's productive. I don't, my three PPPs are productive, positive, and proactive. So that's what I'm into.
I dig it. Yeah. Well, when we do actually return to live music full force, what do you hope both the musician and the audience realizes from this time away?
I think this whole thing is about patience and endurance and gratitude, and probably gratitude more than anything else. Just being grateful for, what comes into our lives that particular day. And, perhaps people have been taking live music for granted, not perhaps, it's probably true, unfortunately. And, one of the things I'm really trying to do is not play for free, not giving anything out for free, because I think that's counterproductive to being a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I guess that's my final question to you is that if we do want to really support the musicians, what's the best way to do it during this time? Because I know it's really, really hard for a lot of musicians. What's the best way to do that?
Well, I think there are a lot of ways to do it. People who are really hurting for money can always like my page, Andrea Brachfeld and Insight. They can't become my friend, but they can certainly, because I have too many friends, but they can like me on Facebook. That doesn't cost any money. They can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Phoenix Flute 1, the number 1. And they can buy, they can download music for 99 cents. I've got everything on Bandcamp. It's pretty much all over, but Bandcamp goes directly to me. And I don't know, I just think we can kind of support each other, in these days. We're going through such intense times. To the point where some days I feel like, not because of the pandemic, but because of all the craziness that's going on, I just need to stay home. I don't trust people. I don't think people have the patience and the endurance to stay home, which is why everybody's going out and hanging out together with no masks. I think these are very difficult times, and I think people need to be very, very conscious about what's going on, but I don't think everybody has the tools to do that. I know they don't have the tools, If you're not involved in some kind of faith-based spiritual practice, or, I don't want to limit that, but in some kind of practice for centering and having the tools to be able to just stay in the moment, then, you're lost, you're gone, you don't know what to do, you drive yourself crazy, living in the past and living in the future, and get very, full of anxiety. So, I'm embracing what I would call my virtual career right now. Until there's something else, that's what I'm doing. And and a lot of people call me, for advice, so I'm trying to help people out as well.
I appreciate you. I really wanted to kind of catch up with you during this very trying time and just discuss the album and kind of the world at large. So thank you for taking a few minutes out today. Good luck with the album. Stay safe. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to let you know that I've got another project in the works, and it's kind of, we went into the studio way before this happened, and it's focused on the children on the planet. The different countries, the different cultures of children all over the world. And, I had no idea this was going to happen, but, I recorded we recorded 4 tunes and submitted one for a grant. So that's our next project. And I had already planned to donate all the proceeds to a specified nonprofit called No Kid Hungry. So that's my plan in the future.
Again, thank you for taking some time out.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Andrea for her time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.